What's up, guys? Tonight I'm going to be moving stuff out of this case into a different case. This is an older NZXT case. I forget the exact model number. I could find out for you guys if you have if someone wants to know. Just put a question in the comment section. But I got a different case from InWin, and I'm going to go ahead and show you guys that in a second. I really kind of like their case designs lately, so give me 1 second and I'll show you what I'm talking about. So this is the InWin 101, still in the box. I actually bought it at a local store here in Louisville because I feel like waiting to order one, and I like to support local shops when they have decent stuff. And there's a store here in town. I guess I won't tell you guys their name unless they tell me it's okay to use them on a video. But this is the InWin 101. This is a black version of it. I think it's going to look good with some of the stuff that I've got. And I got some new fans over here, which are from a company called DarkFlash, which I'm not sure where they're based out of, but I think that they're, probably Chinese or Taiwan or something like that. But there's some different RGB. They're OraSync compatible, and these ones all run through this module of theirs. Like, they have this proprietary connection here. They don't even have a regular fan header connection, and they don't have 3-pin or 4-pin RGB support by themselves. However, this adapter down here runs out to an addressable RGB header. I'm not sure what this is for yet, and their instructions are really bad, so it may take me a little while to figure out how to get this thing working. But it has some controls on this, but it does work with things like MSI, Mystic Light, or OraSync, and the machine I'm going to be putting this in supports OraSync. So supposedly you can run this to the motherboard with the, the addressable header, and then control it from within Windows in your OraSync software. And I did get OraSync working again. I had to reinstall it and do some, there's some folders that were still installed on, when you do your uninstall, it doesn't wipe out everything. So I had to fiddle with it, but I got it working again. So we should be able to get OraSync working with this. But give me 1 second, I'll get this out of the box so we can kind of see what this thing looks like. I've looked at it already on the internet, but I haven't seen one in person, the black one, and they look pretty cool. From what I understand, there's some addressable lighting even on the case. Sorry about the noise. It's like 97 degrees today, so the AC is going to be kicking on and off. But give me 1 second, we'll get this thing out of the box. Alright, so I've got it out of the box, and it's got the lovely tempered glass side panel. I really like InWin's designs for stuff like this. The one I had before was a micro ATX case for the AMD system I built a while back, and I sold that to one of my boss's kids wanted a gaming PC, so I sold it to them. But it had a handle in the center, and you pulled down on a lever and opened it up, almost like one of those old machines that I guess they still have them, but a newspaper machine where you buy paper for 50 cents or whatever, and you put in 2 quarters and you pull down the handle and it opens up. It was kind of like that design where it would just open outward. This has got these 2 little knobs. You can pull them out to open this thing. I'm going to try to be careful here. It's working with the one hand. Tempered glass is somewhat fragile. That's yeah, great. Good work, man. Okay. Sounded like I was damaging it, but I think it's okay. So this one is kind of neat. I like this case design. So the power supply goes up in here and hides neatly behind this little shroud. You've got room underneath here to have the fan for the power supply facing downward. This is like your hard drive mounting areas. The last one I had, the smaller one, only had 1 drive bay up here. This has got 2, but I don't actually have any physical hard drives that I'm using in this system right now. I only have 1 NVMe and M.2 drive, so it doesn't need to worry. I don't need to worry about running anything with SATA connections up there at the moment. But should I want to in the future, that is a place that you can do that. Now, this is one thing I liked about this case. The local store that I bought it from has a Facebook page, and they had it a system built advertised on their Facebook page. Like, they do demos of systems they've built, so people might get interested and come buy products from them. And I'd already been to their store a bunch of times. That's why I had their Facebook page liked already. But this is kind of neat. The fans mount here and pull in air through these, this honeycomb pattern in the back that allows the passage of air through. And then you can blow fan, basically that's your intake for your cool air, and then it'll blow out the back. But pretty cool design for this case. And then up front here, we've got the InWin logo. And I believe that this is controllable through the addressable RGB headers as well. I'll have to see if I can find the cabling for that. It looked like there was some USB header cabling up in here, and I'm feeling some cables up there, so I'll have to get the back panel off and we can see what kind of cabling there is. And again, I think that you're supposedly, so it says right on here, RGB lighting. I wouldn't think that they'd put that on there unless the case itself was capable of said lighting. And I looked at this model on Amazon, although I didn't look at the, again, I didn't see any wiring specifically laid out, but it does talk about it working with RGB, so I would suspect that that front one can be lit up to different colors at least, or maybe it can even like kind of work in tandem. Hopefully it's addressable and can do multiple colors, but even if not, that's cool. Give me 1 second here, we'll get the back panel off and we'll see what connections we have available. Alright, so this is kind of neat. Now you've got a couple of these mounted in here on the back panel, and you can mount a 2.5-inch drive on here and then hide it in the back. So not only do you have room for I think these are, they might hold 3.5-inch hard drives, looks like they do, but you could also of course put 2.5 inches on there and they would just mount on these screw points here. Then you could, like say, secure it to it. But it does look like if you wanted to hide your drives for better cable management behind the back panel, you just mount it to these 4 holes here, you put it in here, and you screw it back into place with the thumb screw, which is sort of hard to manipulate with one hand here, but yeah, see, goes right in. That's really cool. Now, as far as the RGB stuff I was talking about, so we've got USB 3.0 header here. Unfortunately, this case does not have a USB-C header, but that's all right. I don't remember if that motherboard I'm using does or not anyway. But that's something I'd like to get in a future case. USB, oh, that's the HD audio, my mistake. And this doesn't have, yeah, it just has the 2 USB 3s and some audio jacks, so it doesn't actually have standard USB 2.0s anymore. You got your power and that's it. Power switch and hard drive light switch. There's no reset button on this case, I guess. Yeah, looks like maybe that's the power button. It feels like that might be. Oh, there it is. That's the power button right there. Okay. And that appears to be it. There is no actual reset switch. And that's probably the hard drive LED that'll be doing, you know, various things right there. And Toothless has come to visit. And then here is the RGB connection. Like, it gets power, I guess, through the SATA connection, and then this is like a 4-pin, and it's not shaped like a standard RGB 4-pin, which is you know, like the 4 pins are analog and 3 pins are digital. But I'm guessing that this must be probably supposed to plug into a 4-pin RGB header on your motherboard, so it can be controlled through sync. So probably not addressable. In fact, it's not addressable, and probably this will only be able to do 1 color at a time, but that's cool. Just as long as it does something, as long as it syncs with everything else to some degree. We'll see how it works in the long run. But that's basically the guts of the case. What came with it other than that is a bag full of little zip ties and stuff. Oh, the cat's checking out the box, sorry. Zip ties, user manual. It's got some kind of a product scannable code. I think this so you can download a PDF of it or something, maybe from their website. Yeah, in fact, I'm sure that's what that is. But zip ties, little mounting posts for your motherboard. You got screws to mount everything. So pretty much your standard, what you'd expect with a case to come with. But really nice looking cases from InWin. There's another one I was thinking about getting, but it's like $250. I'll probably think of that in the future. But it's the InWin 309. And it has some pretty cool features as well. Maybe I can do a video on that in the future. Maybe I'll contact InWin and just see if they can send me like a sample or something that I have to eventually send back, but just as like a demo unit. That'd be kind of neat. But anyways, give me a minute here, and I'm going to go ahead and start taking apart the other machine. I'm going to probably clean some of the components because they've been in there for a little while and probably a little dusty. And then I can move them into this system, and we can fire it up with all the lovely bells and whistles and lights. So give me a little bit here and we'll see what happens. Alright, so I'm making some progress here. I got the motherboard into the new case and I'm going to start routing some wires. I just pulled these through here for now because they were sort of getting pinched under the system as I had laid it down. But everything fitting in pretty good. It's kind of a nice, clean looking case. I'm not sure yet where I want to mount the radiator here. If it was a 120 or a 240, it'd probably look kind of cool to mount it over here or something. But I'll probably end up putting it in the back of the case again for now. At some point what I want to do, the problem I have, like if I want to do everything through AuraSync, this doesn't work through AuraSync. It uses EVGA's flow control software. They have like an LED sync part of that. And all it can really do is just like be static colors, or the EVGA will change colors into like in a rainbow format, but it doesn't really synchronize with everything else. It'll just kind of look the same if you separately go into its software and tell it to do rainbow, but it won't be able to, like, if you set like a sequence, they have something called the wave, where like one device will change over and it continues to flop over like each color in kind of a wave pattern. And of course this won't take part in that because it's not tied into the sync software. I was kind of looking at like actually going with back to like what was I gonna say, like an air cooling, like a DarkRock Pro or something, and then mounting a couple RGB fans on it to have them tie into the sync system and have all it be kind of one big thing together. Some of those, from what I understand, are really getting pretty good. Like they can dissipate, like, I think the DarkRock Pro 4 from Be Quiet does like 250 watts, which is way more than this i5 needs. Later on, what I'm thinking of doing is Intel's going to put out their 9900KS processor. I will possibly get that and put it in my main desktop, and then I can put my other 9900K in this one, and then this one will be a badass system as well. And it'll be better for rendering, as I could use it for just like capture and rendering instead of just doing the capture on this and then like doing my video editing back on my other system that has more cores and whatnot. This is the i5 9400. It's 6 cores and it's not even hyper threaded, so it does an okay job for video editing, but it's not as fast as it could be because it's not hyper threaded, and it's just not as good of a processor in general. But that said, like I said, I'm just making some progress here. I'm going to go ahead and continue on. I thought you guys would like to see this stage of the game. Continuing on with the build. Alrighty, I got everything wired up in the back here. It's a pretty big, ratty mess of stuff, but you figure I've got this. This is the box that came with the DarkFlash fans, and then I tied in like a 3-way splitter that'll run the other RGB fans that I have that are not from that company. This said on the instructions that this is for an RGB strip, but it is a 3-pin addressable RGB header, so I think it'll work. If it doesn't, then I can just plug this this motherboard as a pair of 3-pin RGB headers. So if it doesn't work there, I can just move it to the other header, and hopefully that'll be a good deal. This is adhered with like a double-sided Velcro strip. If that doesn't work, I should be able to move it all right. But I've got 2 fans here, and I'm going to pause a second. I can show you the other side. All right, here's the other side. It's wired up about as nicely as I can get it. There's a lot of cabling involved with this much RGB, so I've got them hidden as well as I can. We've got our 2060 Super from Asus in here, and the Ivermedia card, and we've got 1, 2, 3 fans from, I think it's called PC Cooler is the name of the company, but these have kind of a nice ring RGB going on, like a thin ring, and then these other ones are more of a bigger, fatter ring on both sides of the fans. And those are the ones that we got from DarkFlash. So I think everything's wired up correctly. If it's not, I'll find out soon enough. I'm going to take this upstairs, plug it back up. I'm going to throw the back panel back on, and we'll see how it works. Assuming it does, I'll do some different RGB patterns, and we can see the different the different options. But give me a minute here, and I will fire it up once it's connected upstairs. Okay, so everything seems to be working. The only issue is that after Googling a little bit, apparently the light on the front of the case is always just blue, which is, I don't know. Like, supposedly you can use the cable that it comes with, which is just a 4-pin analog RGB, to daisy chain other devices through it, but it itself does not change color. I think that's sort of weird and sort of misleading that it says right on the on the case, as I showed earlier, that there was a sticker right on it that says RGB, and this case cannot do RGB on the light that's included on it, so that's sort of corny. But as you can see, all the lights, or all the different fans that I connected through that little external box that came with the DarkFlash fans, everything's working together, because these done on here are the PC Cooler fans. These are the RGB fans from DarkFlash, and they're all working in tandem. When I first connected them, they were not working with the motherboard, like they didn't. AuraSync was not changing their settings. There's a remote that comes with that little box. All I had to do one time was hit MB Sync, and everything started working with the motherboard itself. I've got them connected to a 3-pin RGB header that's kind of down below the video card. It's hard to see from here. As you can see, everything is working pretty nicely together. I can change the different settings here. I'll change it to something else just for fun. It's doing like a like a breathing setting. As I mentioned, the CPU cooler is not part of the OraSync chain, so it cannot be changed through OraSync. It can only be changed through, I think it's, like I say, EVGA's, what the hell is it, LED sync instead of OraSync. And then the card is not Aura capable, the GPU is not, so it just looks like that all the time. That's sort of annoying. It'd be nice if I could find, I don't know, a replacement for that somehow, or whatever. Find some way to make it work with it, or maybe somebody will trade me like a ROG Strix for this card. You know, I could throw them a little extra money or something and swap out for something that would work with the Aura software. And then the AverMedia card is just going to do what it does too. So it pretty much looks best if I just set it to rainbow, and then everything kind of looks like it's more or less part of the same rainbow. But appreciate everybody watching the video. If anybody has any questions, please ask in the comment section below. Please give the video a thumbs up if you liked it, and like I say, even just leave a random comment below. It supposedly helps with the YouTube algorithm to promote the video a little bit better. But thanks for watching. See you guys soon. Bye.
Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe.